Good evening, everybody. Thanks once again for joining us as we present another edition of the Milford Informer. I am your host, Tim Coet. It has been a very unique week across our entire nation, to say the least, as many Americans continue to react passionately, either for or against the results of our presidential election. We will touch on politics at the top of the show tonight, but we have other topics to get to as well, including the exciting playoff run for the Milford volleyball team. Let's show you exactly what we have coming up tonight in our top stories rundown. Tonight, we wrap up the 2016 presidential election with a little lighthearted commentary courtesy of RJ Sheedy. Also tonight, get a sneak preview of the upcoming Milford High School Theatre Workshop production of Our Town, complete with interviews with the director and cast. And later in sports, we will give you the latest update on the Milford Lady Scarlet Hawks volleyball team as they continue to compete in the MIAA Tournament. We could not possibly have had a news program this week without addressing the results of this Tuesday's election. By now, everyone worldwide knows who Americans voted in as our next commander-in-chief. For those curious how the residents of Milford weighed in on the presidential race, it was Hillary Clinton who carried the town's vote by a margin of 55% to Donald Trump's 39.3%. The race local residents had a particular interest in was the Massachusetts 10th Worcester District seat. The race, of course, featured Democratic candidate and Milford Selectman Brian Murray against Republican challenger Sandra Slattery Biagietti. As we take a look at the results, you can see it is Brian Murray who will take over the seat that is being vacated by longtime state rep John Fernandez. Brian took 55% of the vote to Ms. Biagietti's 45%. Sandra Biagietti was able to win the vote in Hopedale, Mendon, and Medway, but a sweep of Milford's 8 voting precincts was enough to put Mr. Murray over the top. At this point, no official plan has been laid out regarding how the town will move forward with Brian Murray's seat on the Milford Board of Selectmen. Turning back to the presidential race one more time, there was only one way we could wrap up this wild election season. For one final time, I invited RJ Sheedy in studio to get his own unfiltered takeaways from Decision 2016. And for one final time during this election cycle, we are joined by the man who has become our, as I like to call it, our lighthearted political correspondent. RJ Sheedy joins us in studio here this week to recap this 2016 presidential election. And in the interest of full disclosure, we are doing this right in the aftermath of election night. We're recording here on Wednesday morning, so you and I, RJ, have only known the results of this election for a couple of hours. So I'll just ask you first off, what is your immediate reaction to what you saw last night?
I don't know how it happened. I literally don't know what happened. I had all my friends over on election night. We were ready to celebrate Hillary Clinton's win, and all of a sudden, like Hillary's worst nightmare happened. She lost Florida, she lost Michigan, she lost Minnesota, she lost Pennsylvania. Once she lost Ohio. You can't win the presidency without Ohio, and everybody got this wrong. I don't even know where to begin, but it's scary. This is happening. This is happening, Tim.
We talked about it. We've had you in studio now. This is the third time to talk politics. We've said it every time. This is the most unconventional, strange, different feeling election than we've ever had before. So I guess it seems only fitting that we've seen the most unusual outcome to the most unusual election. And you talked about it. The polls had this wrong.
They had this wrong.
A lot of the polls right up until this week. It started to tighten up in the days leading up to the election, but a lot of the polls had this going to Hillary Clinton, and certainly Clinton's camp heading into Election Day were very confident that not only they would win, but that it would be a relatively early call for the election in her favor. How did everybody get this so wrong?
I don't know. I know the states that she lost in that Rust Belt, those were states that Hillary Clinton didn't really spend a lot of time there. Donald Trump was making all these tiny visits to these states, and no one knew why. And clearly, he tapped into something that no one knew existed. Last night on CNN, Jake Tapper was discussing that when he was in the at the Democratic Convention in Pennsylvania, he was asking a lot of people "Oh, who do you think you're voting for? Who do you think you're voting for?" And he was being told a lot of times that he had a lot of leaners, people who quietly leaned in and said, "Hey, I think I'm voting for Trump." So maybe a lot of those people who were too shy and scared to say they were going to vote for Trump came out of the woodwork and actually voted for him.
Do you feel like this election changes the landscape of American politics moving forward, with the fact that polls were so wrong in this election, with the fact that we had an outcome that was fairly unexpected for a majority of people? Do you feel that Donald Trump has laid out a framework that is going to change elections for the future, or do you look at this as maybe being an anomaly when all is said and done?
I mean, maybe this might just be a one-time thing and we won't ever see anything like this again. But it's completely possible Donald Trump could have rewritten the entire playbook on how to win an election. No, even from the very beginning, no one thought he was going to get this far. No one thought he would make it past the primaries. No one thought he would be the nominee. And most importantly, no one thought he was going to actually win the presidency. I cannot begin to explain to you at what point they got it so wrong. I don't know.
I think we have to look now at sort of where we go from here. And I think it's important for people to keep in mind, and I know you and I were watching some of the coverage off air before we came on for this interview. You think back to 4 and particularly 8 years ago when Barack Obama was elected, there was a lot of animosity from conservatives towards Barack Obama. There was the question of, can the country come together? Can the country move forward? Now we're here in 2016 and we're faced with that question again in an election cycle that was even more divisive than what we saw in 2008 when Barack Obama was first elected. Donald Trump is now the president-elect. Does the country move forward and find a way to come back together again under a President Trump?
I really hope so. I really hope so. I mean, that's the mature thing to do. I mean, no one wants to be a sore loser. No one wants to be like, oh, he won. You know, no one wants to be that sore loser. I think the mature thing for us to do is at least like smile and say, okay, he's the president. What's the worst thing he can do in 4 years? I mean, there's still checks and balances set up, so he can't just go off and do whatever he wants. We still have these checks and balances in place where Congress and the Senate and the Supreme Court could keep him in line. Will that happen now that his party is in control of both those seats of government? I don't know.
Will the Donald Trump from the campaign trail be the same Donald Trump in the White House?
I hope not. I hope not. I think we've heard this a bunch of times. Donald Trump supposedly can have a switch that he can just flip, where he can be presidential when he needs to be. Everyone thought they would expect to see that in the presidential election. That did not happen. Could he turn that switch on now that he has been elected? Maybe. People who do business with him say that he's a great guy, he's nice, he's considerate, he's charming. I have not seen that guy on the campaign trail. Could this have been an act just to win this presidency? Could this have just been like his reality TV show training at work? Maybe. I mean, I hope so. Hopefully this isn't the guy that we have for 4 years, because if this is the guy we have for 4 years, this could be a scary, dangerous next 4 years.
Well, that will bring our election coverage to an end. RJ, we appreciate you coming on these last few months to help break it down in your own special way. And
it's been fun up until now, Tim.
Well, we thank you for your help and your contributions, and we thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for welcoming me on. This has been awesome hanging out here with you.
As we officially leave politics in the rearview mirror, let's turn now to the Milford High School Theatre Workshop. Over the last few months, the students have been hard at work rehearsing for the school's annual fall play. With performance dates rapidly approaching, we sent intern Jake Martin over to the MHS Auditorium, where he was able to meet with the cast and crew of the Theatre Workshop's production of Our Town.
The Milford High School Theatre Workshop's fall production is Our Town by Thornton Wilder. It's a beloved American classic. It's a Pulitzer Prize winner, still performed all over the world and America today. It's still one of the most popular shows. As the title suggests, it's about a small town. This town might seem unremarkable on the surface, and the lives there might just seem simple and plain. Really, the human drama of life and love and loss is still unfolding every moment in this town, and the overwhelming message that the characters and we, the audience, can take away at the end is that you really have to cherish every moment. So usually for the fall drama, we have a student director, Diane Reardon, our director this year. She's really taking a very active role and has done an excellent job coming up with blocking, being a great leader during rehearsals, coming up with ideas for lighting. So she's really definitely been an active director.
As a student director, I worked a lot outside of the rehearsal time. But a good thing about our workshop is that as a freshman, you kind of have always been directed by your peers. So this is my 7th show with the workshop, so it's nothing new to be directed from other people. But as a director, you really have to get in depth into every character, not just your own character, as you would be for an actor. Love for being a director, I get to learn every different part of theater, and so I really get to learn how to put a big production together, not just how myself plays a role in it, but how every single person, cast, crew, or tech comes together.
Our town is definitely a challenge because it is a very wordy play. There's actually a role which is called the stage manager, but it's a role on stage kind of like a narrator, which is a very, very huge narrative role.
So the stage manager is a character who's both narrating the show and a character in the show. So the stage manager basically explains what's going on before, during, and after we meet the characters, and also has cool interactions with the characters in the show.
I am playing Emily Webb in our town. This is actually my 5th show at MHS TW. This is my first lead, which is really cool. It's definitely a lot of work. We have to make sure we know where we stand and the whole blocking, but it's been working out really well. Working with John Probert, who is George Gibbs, who I end up marrying, and it's been really fun. We work well together, so it's cool to work with him.
I am George Gibbs. Is the son of the Gibb family, the oldest son and only son. The first act, George is coming home from school, and he's going to a baseball practice, and that's when we first see, we the audience first see like George and Emily talk or like interact with each other, and it's just cute. We can tell George has some feelings for Emily, but Emily doesn't really know yet, but you can tell with George. I guess it was easy to sort of get that mentality of us knowing each other, because we have known each other for a while, and these two characters have lived across from each other for their whole lives. And A-Lot lives sort of down the street from me, but so we've always been on the same bus, so we've seen each other every day.
Oh, I wish I'd been here a long time. I don't like being new here.
Great. So the performances are going to be here at Milford High School in the auditorium Friday, November 18th and Saturday, November 19th at 7 p.m. And then on Sunday, we have a matinee at 2 p.m. And tickets are $10 for adults and $5 for students, and they'll be available at the door. At the end, there's a scene, and one of the characters asks a question, which I think just goes absolutely to the heart of the show, which is, and I'm even getting a little choked up thinking about it now. She says, do human beings ever realize life while they live it? Every minute. And the other character says, no, the saints and poets, maybe they do, some. That gets me every time.
Oh, come see the show.
It's the best.
One of the biggest stories of the 2016 fall sports season has been the performance of the Milford girls volleyball team. After surprising many in the Hockomock League with a 13-win second-place finish in the Davenport Division, the girls look to put their own stamp on the MIAA Tournament. Last week we showed you Milford's opening round victory over Tantasqua. We continued to follow the girls as they went out on the road earlier this week to Bolton, where they faced the number 3-seeded Neshoba Lady Chieftains in the quarterfinal round. Let's check out the highlights. We are on the road as we continue our coverage of the Milford Lady Scarlet Hawks volleyball team. They enter into the quarterfinal round of the Division II Central MIAA Tournament, and they are here at Neshoba Regional High School in Bolton, Massachusetts, getting set to take on the number 3 seed in the tournament bracket. That is the Neshoba Lady Chieftains. The ball in the air, the serve is away, and this playoff game underway. And off the front of the net, and immediately the first point of this matchup goes to Milford. Another Serve away for Collins, and some miscommunication amongst Neshoba. You can see Abigail Recco and Jordan Bricknell both going after that ball, and it ended up deflecting off of both players, and now Milford opens up this match on a 6-0 run, and that forces an early timeout to be called by the head coach for Neshoba. This ball softly sent over by number 15, Bree Donahue. Now here's Reichert, the cross-court shot and the kill. 24-13, Schuler trying to close it out. Serve away. It's met in the back by Shea, and rejected in front by Juliana Tracy. And Tracy gets the kill to end this first set. Serve now from Kyla Shea. Kyra Alves traveling a long way to try to get to that one. She was able to make contact, but the ball flies off behind the Milford bench. And Neshoba will once again jump ahead, now 3-2. Popped high over the net by Jordan Bricknell. Reichert waits for it. It's rejected. Milford keeps it alive. Can Reichert keep it in play? She does. It bounces off the net, and Milford gets the point. What a tremendous play out of Kelly Reichert. The entire Milford team alert, keeping that ball alive, and a very hard-earned point for the Lady Scarlet Hawks. Now in front. Played nicely by Zagami. Now here's Reichert. She is stuffed. She tries to quickly react to that ball one-handed. It might have been better off if she had left it for one of her teammates. And again, Neshoba narrows the gap to 4 points, and we see a set point opportunity present itself for Milford, up 24-14 in the second set. Can Schuler finish it off again? Serve in the air, met by Bricknell. Now in front, rejected by Milford. And that is it, the double hit on the Neshoba side. And so for the second set in a row, Jane Schuler is able to take care of business, and Milford in full command of this quarterfinal matchup now. A 4-2 lead now for Milford. The serve continues for Zagami. And there's those communication issues popping up again on the Neshoba side. That time you saw Kyla Shea trying to call off Breen McConnell, and the players just could not adjust in time. Serve from Jordan Bricknell. There's Sarangian for Croto. Up to the front, pushed over. It's Sarangian again, this time for Reichert. And that ball travels far off the hands of Bricknell. Neshoba returns, and Brianna Croto having trouble handling that one, and Coach Zakili, feeling a possible momentum shift here, will call the timeout. Jane Schuler on the floor right now as Schuler serves and gets another ace. Jane Schuler ready. The serve away, met by Naroyan. They'll set it up for the right side, and that ball is sent long, and that is your game. Milford comes into Neshoba Regional High School here in Bolton, and again, they sweep their way to victory for the second straight time in the postseason. A sweep over Tantascwa in the first round, and now a 3-set sweep over the Neshoba Lady Chieftains, and Milford advances to the Division II Central semifinals. Jane, it seemed like you were kind of the closer in this match here today. You were on serve for all 3 of the set wins. How did that feel for you?
It was great. Going back there, usually my coach is like, pressure's on, so I go up with confidence and I just try to get my serves over.
Not gonna lie, I was a little on edge coming in, a little bit more nervous. I knew this team was gonna bring a little bit more versatility to the court. I knew their middles were pretty good. I love the way that we started. We had a lot of energy right from the get-go. We've carried energy right from our final match against Sharon in the league, right through our last tournament match against Tantascwa. This team was stronger and taller across the net, so we had to use a few different strategies. I'm just real happy for the kids, you know, especially the seniors. They've been waiting 4 years to do this, so, and we have 9 of them. So I'm just really pleased with the way they played. We started to stumble a little bit in that third game, and I just told my kids they had to continue to play aggressively, especially Juliana, my middle, playing a little too safe. And I just said, take everything that comes over first hit. And I mean, I think she probably scored 3 of the final 5 on overpassed balls. So the setters did a great job. We served well from behind the line. And we get another shot at Canton. That's a big thing, you know.
I think because we've lost the past 2 games, we'll definitely go in with more energy and want to beat them even more than any team that we played before.
If it is Canton, is there maybe one particular key that you look at going into that matchup now the third time around to try to get that different result?
Don't let that third game slip away when you have it. Yeah, that's what I said to them tonight when we were up 2-0. The third match is like crucial. It's critical, and you can't, once you let a team back in and then they can believe that they can beat you, and once they believe that they can beat you, they can. So we have to just play really hard. We have to stay focused and dig in our heels. And I mean, Canton's a really good team. What was good about this match is they did the bulk of their attacking from the middle, and Canton does the same thing. Their strength is in the middle of the court. And our strength when we played them the last time was on the outside, but I think we have all our gears running. All of my girls are contributing. So they're going to have to figure out where we're going with the ball, you know. I can't wait to play this team again.
It turned out Coach Zakili would get her wish. Canton was able to sweep Ashland in their quarterfinal game, setting up a Davenport Division showdown in the D2 Central semifinals. Once again, we were happy to travel with the team, this time to Canton High School, giving us the chance to bring you full highlights of the Lady Hawks against the Canton Lady Bulldogs. Once again, we are on the road. We continue to follow this magic carpet ride of a postseason for the Lady Hawks volleyball team today. They advance to the Division II Central semifinals, where they match up with a familiar foe. It is their biggest league rival, the Canton Lady Bulldogs, in this semifinal round. Once again, we see Allie Collins behind the line. She is getting ready to go. It is a raucous atmosphere as the serve is away, and the semifinal match begins. And a hard smash from the left side for Canton is just beyond the dive of Kyra Alves, the Milford libero, and the home team will start with the first point. Now the setup on the left side for Erica Lum, dug out by Reichert. Reichert will get it back. And the point awarded to Canton. That was Casey Shea and Nicole Poole teaming up for the block. Another serve away from Zagami, and the diving attempt up front for Nicole Poole, but Canton cannot return it. And the score now narrows to 19-12, and Coach Cawley now calls for the timeout. The student section has not done much sitting so far in this first set. They stand and cheer now as Emma Murphy takes over on serve. There's Collins now for Reichert. And teaming up for the block once more is Jerrier and Shea. Milford drops their first set in this 2016 MIAA Tournament. The serve away. Panico gets to it on the back row. Now two-handed over by Emma Murphy with her back to the net. Here's Shirelli now from the right side and finds bare floor. A good diving attempt by Nicole Poole. Milford now up 3-1. Now the setup for Zagami. And now on the Canton side for Erica Lum, but Lum can't keep it inside the back line, and Milford now with a 6-point advantage, up 12-6. Milford was up 12-6. It is now 12-10. The lead evaporating very quickly. Schuler digs that out. And another violation on the Milford side, and the lead down to 1. And Canton allows that serve to go wide. That was good communication on the floor as Emily Lynch pulled the arms in just in time, and Canton takes the second set 25-20. As Collins sets it for Lobiser, and Lobiser's Return shot over the back line, and that is that. 25-9. Canton with a statement win in the third set, and Canton sweeps the Milford Lady Scarlet Hawks here in the semifinals. And after a tremendous regular season for Milford and 2 phenomenal wins in the early rounds of the playoffs, Milford's bid for a trip to the district finals will come to an end here on the floor of the Canton Lady Bulldogs. In the end, Milford Volleyball concluded their season with a total of 15 wins and found themselves as one of the last 4 teams standing in the Division II Central bracket. It was a tremendous turnaround for the girls, who were led by an outstanding senior class. We congratulate all 9 seniors, head coach Linda Zakili, as well as the entire Milford girls volleyball program. And that will wrap things up for our fall sports coverage. We will officially close out the season with Thanksgiving coverage of the Milford football team against Randolph before we start to set our sights on the Scarlet Hawks winter teams. And with that, we bring this week's edition of the Milford Informer to a close. We thank you for joining us, and from all of us here at Milford TV, this is Tim Coette saying have a great week. So long, everybody.